I would love to share something more personal with you today. This is actually a healing experience that I had a couple weeks ago that was so profound, and it had to do with my inner child. And this is something that you may be familiar with, you may not, but before I share my story, I just want you to know that the reason why I'm sharing this with you is to let you know that it is okay, no matter what you've been through in your life, with your past, your childhood, anything, that you are okay as you are, and that, you know, it's more important than anything else to really just love ourselves through it, to love the pain, to love the memories, to love who we are today. And it's really that love that is the greatest healer of all. And when I talk about healing, in this video today, I'm not talking about physical healing, I'm talking about psychological, emotional healing. Because I know we've all had experiences in our past that have been not so great, that have been, you know, maybe traumatic, or maybe, you know, just really hard in some way or another. And what happens is, if we don't allow ourselves in that moment of that experience to fully feel whatever emotion is wanting to move through, if we stop it and we repress it because it's too painful and we don't want to feel it, then we hold on to it. Emotions are a real thing, and if we don't allow them we don't allow ourselves to feel them, we don't allow them to move through, they get trapped in our body, like literally in the cells of our body. So it's so important to, from here on out, to fully feel everything that you're feeling in the moment, and to not stop it, to not try to control it, to not think that it should be any way other than it is. Because we are emotional beings. Emotions are such a natural part of life, and for whatever reason, in our culture, we've kind of been taught that emotions, especially the more negative emotions of being, you know, afraid or being insecure, or, you know, being really sad or being really angry, all those are not really acceptable. And it's so important to realize that we are all of it. You know, there is no like, oh, this part of me is not good, so I'm gonna like tuck this away and not accept it. It's so important to learn to accept all of our life experience, to accept all of who we are in the moment, whether that is, you know, you feeling angry, or you feeling sad, or you feeling joyful, to just allow that to be as it is. So when we don't allow our full feelings to express themselves in the moment, if we have more of a challenging experience or a traumatic experience or whatnot, then those emotions get trapped in our body. So from here on out, it's so important to feel them, and to go back and feel what am I still holding on to in my body from my past. And this is a very different thing than just, you know, reliving an old story over and over and over again. If you had a story of something that happened to you when you were young, and you just want to keep retelling it because you want sympathy, or you want people to feel sorry for you, or whatever that may be, then that's not serving. That's not serving you actually resolving and moving through things. But if, you know, like myself, if you have kind of like tucked it away and said, oh, okay, I can just forget about that now and move on with my life, then there's still going to be residual of those emotions in our bodies, and it's important to allow ourselves to go inside and feel whatever is still there, and allow it to come through, to allow ourselves to have emotional releases, if that is what our bodies are asking for and needing, for us to be able to be more free. So for me, I, as a child, and this is according to my mother, because I really don't have a whole lot of memories of my very early childhood, but when I was younger, I was so just happy and outgoing, and I was talking and singing full-on songs by the time I was 18 months old. I was singing Take Me Out to the Ball Game by 18 months old. So articulate, so just, you know, outgoing and expressive, and wanting to connect with everybody and talk to people. I was, you know, coming up with all sorts of games to play, you know, with my brothers growing up, and different creative things that we could do, and different theater pieces and this and that. And it was just like, my imagination and creativity was overflowing when I was a child, as is most children. Most children are born just completely in that connected, natural state of being imaginative and creative and not worrying about what other people think and not putting so much stress and pressure on ourselves to try to be somebody that we're not. Kids are so free, naturally so free. And I was watching one of Kyle Cease's videos not too long ago, and he was talking about this, about how when we're kids, that's more of our natural state. That carefree, just joyful, playful, creative essence that we started to lose when we became adults and we started worrying about what other people think, and I have to be somebody that other people want of me so that I can be loved and accepted. And that's what happened to me. You know, when I was around 4 years old, I don't know what happened, but my mother told me that all of a sudden one day I went from being extremely outgoing to being totally self-conscious and totally just stuck within myself, where I felt like I couldn't express myself, I couldn't be myself. I was so worried about what everybody else thought, and I just wanted to do the right thing. I wanted to say the right thing. If anybody asked me what my opinion was or what my favorite food was, it was like I couldn't even answer because I wanted to give them the answer that they were looking for, and it was like I lost myself. I lost who I was, and I think that we all have some experience of losing our innocence in that way, where we went from being, extremely joyful, innocent kids and are connected to our natural state to all of a sudden, being conditioned by our culture and our society to be somebody that we're not. And I really, from that point forward in my life, throughout the rest of my childhood, I was not happy. I felt like I was in my own silent prison, and it was miserable. I felt so fearful all the time, and I felt always embarrassed, and just like felt like I was not enough. I couldn't really be myself, and it was painful. It was really, really painful. As I grew up, I started to step outside of that prison a little bit and start to be more comfortable with expressing myself, as I got into junior high and high school, but it still wasn't a real expression from my true state. It was okay, I can at least voice my opinions now, but I'm still worried about what other people think, so I'm still going to say the thing that I think that other people want to hear. And that also is not real. It's not true. And I so felt the pain of that inauthenticity, of not being able to be fully my authentic self for most of my life. And so, now as an adult, I've definitely, especially over the last 6 years since I've been doing a lot of personal work, I've been able to connect more deeply to who I really am and to allow myself to express myself and to just be who I am. But I realized that there was still this part of me that had been repressed, this lifelong repression of something, this self that I was holding on to out of fear of being vulnerable or feeling like I need to protect myself, and because if I let myself out, then I may not be loved and accepted, and to our conditioning, that's like the worst possible thing. So I, for whatever reason, over the last 6 years in doing all this personal work, I didn't do so much around my inner child, like who I was as a child, because there was a part of me that was like, that was painful. I don't want to go there again or experience that again, or it's just not necessary. I'm going to move forward and I'm going to keep moving forward. But there was still this residual that I could feel in my body, where I felt myself still kind of slip back into old patterns of self-repression and not fully being able to express myself as I freely want to be able to. And so in watching Kyle's video the other day, and him talking about the beauty of who we were as children, as being so natural and innocent, something in me just clicked. For whatever reason, I was ready to hear that in that moment, because I had, after that, probably an experience for an hour where all of a sudden this well of emotion all came to the surface, and it was like a dam broke, and I felt all of the feelings over again that I felt when I was younger, of feeling so frustrated, so angry with myself for holding myself back, so much around my throat, so much pain around here and in my gut, and just I really allowed myself to fully feel it. and I was crying, I was screaming, and I wasn't trying to stop it or control it. In fact, like, I didn't even care at what the neighbors thought or anything like that. I was screaming. I, at one point, was like on my back, kicking my legs up into the air, like I was a child again. But it was like something else started moving through me. It was like whatever I had locked inside with all these painful emotions that I didn't allow myself to fully feel, it all came out, and I just let it do it. I let it flow. And through that expression of the anger and the frustration and the pain and the sadness, and I connected afterwards to that beautiful innocence of who I really am underneath all that. And I, for one of the first times in my life, felt so appreciative of who I was as a child and appreciative of all of my life experiences, and honoring that beautiful, natural innocence, that expressive self of who I was when I was a child. And I felt that again, and it felt so beautiful and so free and so amazing that it lit me up. It was like every cell in my body lit up with my true essence, with like who I really was. And I felt so inspired, and I felt so free and liberated, and felt so much love in my body, so much love for that little Katie as well, that I felt like there was such a big healing that happened that morning in reconnecting and loving my inner child. And I feel ever since so much more free to really just be myself and express myself. And yes, Kyle's event was amazing too, in helping me to really move through a lot of the old conditioning that was keeping myself stuck and keeping myself repressed and keeping myself not able to fully be myself. And it's all been really a culmination of lots of things. So I highly encourage you, whatever you have gone through in your life that you may have tucked away and not really looked at or not really allowed yourself to fully feel, I'm telling you that the residual of those emotions are still playing out in your life today until you allow yourself to feel it and let it flow through you again. So it's gonna be scary, it's gonna be painful, it's gonna be, you're gonna have to feel those old emotions that were not pleasant. But it's so important to do so, because that is how we set ourselves free. That's how we free ourselves. So whatever space you can create for yourself to give yourself that time to feel and to go into that feeling, and to allow it to fully flow through, whatever that looks like. It may not be crying, it may not be screaming, maybe it is, maybe it's something else. Don't try to control it, just connect to that feeling, those emotions, and allow them to flow. And I guarantee you that you will feel so amazing and so free afterwards, and you will be so much more connected to who you really are, rather than having these layers of old emotions playing out over and over and over again in these self-defeating patterns that are not serving what we really want to create in life and who we really want to be, who we really want to show up as. So I highly encourage you again to take the space to do this if you haven't already. And if you have already done some processing or some work around your past experiences or your inner child, or maybe some things that have happened to you in your life, then I thank you for that. And I just commend you for that. It is big work, and it takes courage. And I thank you, because not only are you helping to set yourself free by doing this, but you also are able to set everybody else free by living that freedom. When we live who we are, when we live our true self, when we live our freedom, that automatically inspires everyone around us that interacts with us to also feel safe to do the same thing. So whatever I can do to support you in this process, please let me know. I would love to be here for you. And if you're brave enough to share with us here on the comment thread a little bit more about your experience, I would love to hear it. I know it would be inspiring for many other people to hear as well. So please share. And it's just such an important thing to do. So thank you very much for holding space for me, really, to be able to share this with you, because, you know, it's not something that has always been easy for me to talk about or to share, and I'm really happy that I've been able to, and I feel so blessed to have had this experience, and I'm also grateful to Kyle for even just saying, you know, a couple sentences in a video that just sparked something in me that was that was exactly what I needed in that moment to help myself become more free. And hopefully this video is going to be able to do the same thing for you. So thank you so much, sending you so much love and support for your process. I am here for you, I am holding space for you, and I love you. I do, so thank you.